Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Battlefield 1942. On today's episode, Berlin. Along with Stalingrad, this is another map that's entirely urban. Although, unlike Stalingrad, Berlin is extremely closed in, and you're fighting in a bunch of different alleyways. On this map, the Russians have one uncapturable base, and the Germans have 3 capturable bases with no uncapturable base. So the Russians' job is to get a quick breakout, grab one of the German flags, and then try to cap out the rest of the German flags. The Germans have 1 tank that spawns in the southwestern flag, and the Russians have 2 tanks that both spawn at their main base. When you're aiming at these tanks, you want to aim toward the treads so you cause more damage. If they hit you in the front of the tank, it won't take as much damage. Alright, the Germans are doing pretty well so far because the Russians haven't managed to get a quick breakout. The Russians really want to just capture one of the flags very early on. Otherwise, there's the potential that their entire team could get stuck in that alleyway up in the north where their uncapturable base is. I'm going to sit in this position for a bit and pick off the Russians who managed to get through the alley. There are actually 2 different ways the Russians can try to escape that alley where their main base is. There's the main path that you can see on the radar very clearly, and that's where both of their tanks spawn and most of them try to get out. And then there's also one narrow little alleyway that they can get to that's a little bit to the east. Both of those exits are covered by this position that I'm covering with the tank. You can see the windows there in that building. That's a building that you can go into, and there are, I think, 3 different floors on it. And they have, windows, and they can shoot out the windows, and you can actually jump out the windows and try to escape that way, although it's pretty risky. I don't believe that your parachute opens. The Russians look like they're having a really, really difficult time at this point because I'm not even seeing them escape and get into my firing zone over here. The Germans just keep going along. And another thing on this map, there we go, there's at least one Russian trying to escape. But when you've got a tank like this covering the position, it's very difficult for them to escape. Oftentimes the Russians will just start throwing grenades out there, doing whatever damage they can. And you can also tell from the radar that we have stolen one of their tanks. That is really disastrous. The only thing the Russians have to their advantage at this stage in the map is that they've got 2 tanks and we've only got 1. But now, we've got 2 and it looks like they've got none. The other tank was probably destroyed and they're just waiting for it to respawn. This is a map that is somewhat famous, and there you can see their Russian tank just respawned, so you either want to destroy it very quickly or hope one of your guys steals it. We could have them in a really terrible position if they don't manage to get even 1 tank. But this map is well known for being a map where the Russians potentially can just be annihilated. This map isn't as unbalanced as it looks so far. If the Russians get 1 flag and manage to put the Germans on the defensive, the Germans have no uncapturable base, and the Germans potentially have no tank. So, the Russians can make the Germans look like the underdog very quickly. Now I'm just going to drive this far enough away to get out of range of their anti-tank rockets and then pelt them from a distance. It's actually a lot better to attack from a distance when you're in the tank, simply because most of the anti-tank weapons rely on getting close in, and you can move around more easily if you're at a distance and mess up the aiming of their anti-tank rockets. This map is also known for a lot of grenade spamming. I think that somehow they limited it. I think maybe originally they had more ammo crates and there was just non-stop grenade spamming. But if you want to trap the Russians in, the thing to do is obviously just steal one of their tanks at least, and remain at a distance and pelt them as they come through. On the radar, you can see the Germans really filling in that little hidden alleyway just to the east of that main alley that's preventing the Russians from getting through. Often that's the way that the Russians get through. They go through that alleyway, hidden passage, and then get to that first flag pretty easily. Funny, one after another those rockets come. Because the rockets are so slow, though, if your tank is taking damage, you have a pretty good chance of bailing out at the last second like I did there. And then you just kind of hang around this area. You can wait for that tank to respawn and see if you can steal it again. That's the one thing about the tanks on that spawn. Even though they spawn at the Russian main base, they spawn pretty far to the south, and the Germans have a really good shot at stealing them. There you go, that tank was destroyed, and you can see that's a Russian tank being held by one of our guys, so they've got no chance of using armor. I'm just going to go ahead and toss some grenades out here just to see if I can get some kills. Even though this is a map that's ripe with spawn camping, if the Russians don't get out, I do have to say that they at least have a lot of different areas in this spawn where they can spawn in. They can spawn in these hidden little rooms here, they can spawn all the way through the back. And since their entire team is spawning there, it's not as if they can't repel intruders. Alright, so I've finally been killed. And by this point, of course, the Russians theoretically always have a chance of winning this map, no matter how badly they do at the beginning, simply because they can cap all three of the German flags and win that way. But by this point, it just looks, pretty hopeless for them. And there, the Russian tank is spawned in. And the Russians are already using their anti-tank rockets against their own tank. I guess they don't have much confidence that they're going to be able to secure it themselves. Once again, they're in a position here where they just have no chance of breaking through at all. Some good German defense on that hidden alleyway to the east. Once again, because those anti-tank rockets are so slow, and often they don't get an instant kill if they just hit on the side. You can get an instant kill with the anti-tank rocket if you hit it from the rear, but when you've got a chance of escaping like that, it's very frustrating for them to not get the kill. I don't know why they're not spawning the snipers there. I guess it's because they figure that their team's not going to be able to break out, so they're going to try to get individual kills as well they can. But like Stalingrad, this is a map with a lot of fog, so there's no point in spawning in as a sniper. And it looks like that's going to do it for this map. The Russians just got completely murdered. There are other scenarios that can develop on this map if the Russians get one flag, but that'll do it. See you on the next episode.